Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord has just hit early access, and the learning curve is real. In my first 10 hours of playing, I spent more time dying and probably crying than I want to admit. But in this quick little video today, I want to go through 8 real quick tips and tricks that I learned in my first 10-15 hours that I just wish I had learned at the very beginning. This is to help you guys that are jumping into the game over the weekend or that are just now getting into early access and can't really kind of break the hump of that learning curve. This will kind of give you a little bit of a leg up on things. Now, these aren't anything catastrophically mind-blowing about the game. It's just kind of some nice little things you either probably wouldn't have known because the game doesn't really do a good job of displaying them to you, or you wouldn't have known because you didn't play Warband and you didn't just kind of have this built-in knowledge already. I personally haven't played Warband for years, so this took me a long time to kind of learn. So we're going to start with the character creation and just some points on that, and then we're going to jump throughout the rest of the game. Here we are at the end of the character creation screen. So our first topic I want to talk about are skill points. Now, in my playthrough, I believe I had 2 or 3 on these 3 top ones over in Vigor, with a lot of other skills spread around all over the place. My biggest advice is to stick with 1, if not 2, maybe 3, if you're really good at the game, weapon skills, and then spend the rest through endurance, cunning, social, and intelligence. For instance, in this build right now, I would be going predominantly with one-handed, using my polearm while I'm also doing a lot of riding. I think riding is a very important skill, and it's a come-all for any type of character you make. Another really important one I found is that scouting really helps out when you're trying to find a lot of hideouts across the campaign map, and tactics really help out when you're using your actual army when it comes to attacking said hideouts. Now, the rest of these abilities, social intelligence, can depend on what kind of character you want to make, especially when it comes to trading and stuff like that, but really only focus on 2 at max probably weapons. If you are very familiar with the combat system and you're very comfortable with it, you can probably get away with a 3rd weapon, but I went with 2 more points into 2-handed, and if you're playing on any difficulty harder than very easy, you're going to find how punishing 2-handed weapons are. You can get one-shotted way too easily without a shield, and the 2-handed weapon almost kind of rewards you getting one-shotted by almost encouraging it. So unless you're really ready to play with 2-handed weapons, I would not encourage it. Go with one-handed, go with a shield, and then a polearm while you're on horse until you get more familiar with the game and combat. Going further on skills, there's 2 things you need to kind of worry about or at least look at. You have got your focus points. You can use focus points for increasing your learning limit in individual skills. Characters can earn 1 focus point every time they level up. Here's your level bar right here. That's going to give you access to more focus points. But it says right here, your learning limit. This is your learning limit. So your character can only learn up to this amount of skill points in this specific skill based off of your focus points. Take, for example, Steward. I've got 0 focus points in it, and my intelligence is very low, much not unlike myself right now. But in addition, you also have attribute points. You can use these points to increase attributes. You'll gain a 1 free attribute for every 3 levels you gain. So obviously, level 3, level 6, 9, so on and so forth. And then as you click here, you can see, of course, what they pertain to: one-handed, 2-handed, polearm. But here's the important thing to know about an attribute. Increasing Vigor makes it easier to learn bound skills and also raises their learning limit. So your learning rate increases as well as your learning limit. That's not something I learned right off the bat, and as you can see, I spread my focus points way too thin in my Vigor category. This should really have 0 in 2-handed because I have really no interest in investing in 2-handed. So use your focus points on the skills you really want to focus on to both increase that learning limit and your learning rate so that you're gaining skill points faster or experience faster in that respective skill. Now, our next tip, our 3rd tip, is going to be about tournaments. And tournaments are really important to do. So you want to go to any major city. All these large names are your major cities. You'll click on the city. You'll go to the arena. And if there's a tournament that's active, you'll see fight in tournament. If not, and you want to find a tournament, enter the arena, let this load on in, and you'll be able to ask the arena master, or tournament master, are there any tournaments going on in nearby towns? And he'll tell you typically 2 that are quite close, Amitatis and Sanala. So when you come back out of this, and you scroll back out, you take a look at your map, you can see where these people are. So Sonala down here and Amitatis up there. And why you should be spamming these tournaments is that for two reasons. One, it's going to get you better at the combat in the game. You can do practice fights and just fight people, but the tournaments are a great way to do this because you don't lose anything if you do lose, if you don't bet on yourself. And the biggest thing you get from this are items. Now, these items are of course awesome to have on your character because why not? You want better items. But take a look at this sword. This sword sells for 1,000. This helmet sells for 1,000. I won another helmet that sold for 3,000 and I sold it, even though it was a really good helmet. So you do get really good items, but most importantly, you can use those items and sell them and get a really good surge in your own income. Now our next point, our fourth point, is going to be about all the many types of bandits you see in the game. Looters are the very base one that you'll encounter, and they'll almost always run from you. You can increase your running speed by having more horses in your inventory, but as you progress up through forest bandits and mountain bandits and sea bandits, all those sea bandits being like the top tier ones, they become more and more challenging. But the biggest benefit of attacking all these minor little looters is that you get loot from it, which is obvious, but you also get peasants, which can be a nice low tier addition to your army because they cost no wage. But most importantly, when we bring up our party menu, you can help train your infantry. And Imperial Recruit is what you're probably going to be used to getting in the beginning of the game. If you right click on any unit, you can see your the Encyclopedia deployment tree of how they upgrade and in what direction. So this will help you kind of upgrade your characters depending on what makes the most sense. You know, my Imperial Equite, I want him to become this Imperial Elite Cataphract. And this is what's going to allow you to take your tier 1 units and specialize them in the specific ways you want to. And that killing those little looters and those small bandits and sea bandits and so on and so forth are going to help you just get a lot of really quick levels on these guys so that you then can progress them through their respective upgrade trees. Keep in mind though, before we kind of close this little section out, some upgrades require things. Like for instance, putting these Vigila recruits upwards to their Equite does require a horse. So you keep in mind what you have to upgrade for your respective units. You might not have the ability to upgrade them until you have a horse in your inventory. Our next subject is going to be about companions, and I recommend you get one as soon as possible, in the very first city if you can. It will cost you quite a bit, but I don't think you should worry about that because the companion allows you to do a lot of things. One of the most important things though is that you can use your companion to take care of little side quests that pop up around the game as you jump from town to town. You can currently see that Yarly Coalbiter here is solving an issue because I have sent him along with 2 members of my army on their own quest. This allows you to drastically spread out the amount of quests that you can do at one time by having myself undertake one quest and my companion undertaking another. The hideout quests to clear brigand or bandit hideouts, you'll find as you progress, become very, very difficult because you're only taking a portion of your army. Instead, you can take your companions and send them off, and we'll talk about that in our next section. And that is diversifying your companions. You don't want to have a bunch of companions that can simply fight in combat. That's not really going to do you a bunch of favors. Instead, you want to have companions that have a number of different attributes so you can assign them to different roles in your clan. For instance, if you have a companion with high leadership and you assign them to the quartermaster position, and you personally don't have a high leadership, this will allow you to increase your army and your party size. Furthermore, if you have a companion with high tactics, then that companion can be sent out to clear out hideouts that we were just talking about. Now again, like I said, those hideouts are quite difficult to do in the beginning portions of the game, even the later portions of the game, because it takes a certain portion of your army at random. The best way to really deal with a hideout is to organize your party in a way that best suits you. Now, we don't have 100% confirmation if this does guarantee that you'll take you plus 9 of your top guys, but this seems to be the big consensus across the community to help out with hideouts. But if you send a companion plus 10 soldiers out to go deal with the hideout on their own, more often than not, they will deal with the hideout and you won't have to worry about it rather than having to suffer through a random party that just doesn't do well against the hideout and you end up dying. Another really good tip is commerce and trading. Those things are really important to the overall climate of Bannerlord, but it's something that you can do on your own when you're just kind of running around from town to town, doing some quests or running to tournaments. If you hover over the buy icons, if you even click out, you can see more. It'll tell you, can buy at Zionica for 26. So rather than buying olives for 39 here, I can go buy them at Zionica. But as you kind of look at some of these, you'll see stuff like this, that you can sell oil at Poros for 94. It's going to cost me 60 to buy them here. I can buy all, let's just say 10 for easy math. I can buy 600 of them, or I can spend 600 here and sell them at Poros for, again, rounding up, for 100 a piece. So use this menu to really get a good idea of what to buy and sell as you move around the map. It helps if you kind of have a little notepad and you can write these numbers down, or which targets are you're going to be focusing at to sell things. Now, keep in mind, the higher your trade skill, let's go ahead and take a look at that skill, the more that you'll be able to divulge when it comes to taking a look at your buy-sell screen. This trade skill will help you get more profit, and you can use these individual skills to learn more and more about increasing your sell price or your buy price. So if you are investing heavily into commerce, you're definitely going to want that trade skill. Next up is our discussion about the Encyclopedia. Now, this is something that isn't really transparent in showing you in the game. So if you press N, you get the Encyclopedia, and this is the little menu that pops up when you right click on things for the most part. But this is a really important menu, and it's mainly for your very first main quest, right? Let's take a look at that quest real fast. Investigate Neretzi's folly. You have to talk to a bunch of nobles to find out more about it. So if I bring up N, I press Heroes, then if I scroll down this list and select Noble, and then I'm going to choose my culture, which is Valandia, which is pretty much the things that are more around me, I would suppose. I get a list of all of the Valandian nobles, myself included, right there. So I can take a look, and let's just click Heckard. Okay, well, he was last seen near Larnock. I can click Larnock, then I can click this button, Track. X out, scroll out, and we can find Larnock was over there. So you can use this to pinpoint specific nobles, and you can, okay, well, Larnock's way too far away for me. I'm not going to go over there. And you just go back to that list and pick and choose another one, pick and choose another one. So we'll jump over here. We press the back button. We'll press the back button. Okay, we'll click Addis. Oh, last seen at Medini Castle. And we'll track that one. Roll out. Medini Castle's right down here. So use the Encyclopedia to learn more about the game, but also use it to complete some of your quests. It took me forever to realize that that's how I could pinpoint my main quest and finding these nobles. It took me forever because I was just seeing a noble run across the battlefield here, or across the campaign map, and I talked to him, and he was able to give me some information. So it was just by freak happenstance that I discovered that. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at your Encyclopedia. Last but not least is my note to stay in your starting area. Now, this does seem counterintuitive because you will get pulled to multiple portions of the map, but try to kind of settle back in one region just for a little bit. And the main purpose behind that is, as you go and do these quests in these respective little towns, or do tournaments or quests in these big cities, you'll start to gain favor. And as you gain favor, you can recruit more troops. Take, for example, Keneros here. I've done like 3 things here in this location. So take a look. I can recruit Imperial Heavy Horsemen. Now, if we take a look at this, that is tier 4 of the Heavy Horse recruitment option. Otherwise, I would just be able to only recruit these guys. And you can get an idea for what you can recruit, right? It says you don't have high enough relation to acquire this troop. You have 0, you need 20. In this case, I have 10 and I need 24 more Imperial Horsemen. So using this allows you to really expand your army without having to fight a lot of battles. You can use your companions, send them out, do these little tasks. You yourself can do the tasks. So rather than leveling up your troops, take advantage of all these quests that are making you money anyway, and then capitalize on it by recruiting higher tier units. So in closing, I hope that this video really helps you out in kind of getting your feet wet, or at least getting a better foothold on Mount & Blade Bannerlord. I'm having a lot of fun with this early access, and a lot of you guys have actually given these tips to me while I was streaming or just after the fact and just kind of little side conversations. So thank you to all who have helped me with this. This game is very dense, and I really encourage you to press escape, jump into the options menu, and look at your keybinds. It took me forever to realize that if I'm on my horse, I have to press X to couch my lance. And even further, some lances can't be couched. It has to say it in the item description in order for it to be couched. Or press backslash to sheathe your weapon, or E to kick or hit a shield bash. So there are a lot of little tiny complexities in this game that you kind of have to look for and really dive under. But I hope this video really kind of peeled back the veil a little bit to make the game a lot easier to jump into. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any other little tips or tricks you'd like to share with the community, please go ahead and leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that action. But as always, have a good one and take care.